Well, the tour officer amongst this group, 77 canoes involved, getting underway at the start of the K2 classes for juniors and seniors. Now, they really need a good, clean start, and so often in the past, the pattern for the race has been set in the sprint for the first weir. And here it comes, Strathern Weir after 1,000 metres, first across, Smith and Enright from Bradford and Avon in the southwest of England, then Pete Connor and Norman Hannigan of the Salmon Leap Canoe Club in Leakston. And behind them, two South African pairs, Daniel Conradi and Anthony Stephen from Stellenbosch, and then it's James Dick and Mark Vilapolsky. Over the weir now, Melvin Swallow and Guy Dressler from Chester. And in this group, in the green boat, it's Matthew Enoch and Martin Bull from Nottingham. And beside them in yellow, the English-based Irishman Nick Garner with Dave Kay. Andrew Boland and Barry Foster from Salmon Leap leading Brendan O'Brien and Asa Cooper from Selbridge. The ESB is catered for the flood conditions, releasing 30 million gallons of water from their hydroelectric stations, and these K1s are about to experience it. Men, women and juniors, 71 boats in all. Back at Strathern Weir, Collie Quinn, Fred Daly, then Austin Nolan, Kieran Nolan, David Enoch and James Pedgold all going through. Mid-after paddlers, Philip McKee and Stephen Hanna leading this little group. Oh, problems behind! And this really isn't the moment to let go of the canoe, is it? Colin Smith and Tim Ripton hanging on grimly there, and they found up James and Margaret Blakebrook. This weir is really finding them out. Oh, canoe completely folded up there, and Jackie Freer is gone in the drink. Junior K2s now, Aidan and Shane Devoy. Oh, balance gone. Burgoyne and Weaver from Hereford. And a similar problem for them. They've gone down smiling. Wilkinson and Madden from Annalong and County Down. We've been well damaged the paddle in that. First the K1s coming to Strathern Weir, left in the yellow canoe, Gary Moyer. Behind him, Malcolm Banks has taken the faster route on the right. Fergus Cooper of Selbridge Paddlers. Behind him, David Francis, Salmon Leap. Jimmy Butler, Nottingham, last year's K1 class winner coming through the red canoe. Opting for the slower route here. Junior K1, Conor Maloney from the Salmon Leap Club. Coming through in the green boat, Richard Lang from Scotland. Oh, problems here for Gary Moyer. One of the first K1s across Strathern Weir with great balance to get himself back into the race. Larry Ward here from Salmon Leap. 4 times a class winner, 9 medals in all. And still they come in numbers. Man in front here, Ashley Elms from Salmon Leap. And tentative approach from James Smith, Junior K1. Relieved to have got over the first weir. Strathern Weir again, leading whitewater canoes. First through here, Deglon O'Driscoll of Palmerstown, followed by Scott Kenny McNair. Gordon Chisholm next, also a Scot. And Peter Spence from Northern Ireland. Orange boat, it's Stuart Smith from Nottingham. The red canoe, Peter Hull from Belfast. No problems for him. Leading K2s at the front, it's the South African pair, Conradi and Stephen. Behind them, the Englishmen Smith and Enright. And they're being pushed from behind by Swallow and Dressler. And these 3 pairs have put some considerable distance between themselves and the rest of the field. Well, these are the K2 leaders, Conradi and Stephen, approaching Temple Mills Weir. Just holding their lead. But there's been a change behind them now. In second place, it's Swallow and Dressler. And both of them safely through. Quite a gap now to the third place paddlers, Smith and Enright. And the watch shows that gap is 15 seconds. But a nice clean shoot by Smith and Enright. Temple Mills Weir, Junior K2s, Matthew Enoch and Martin Bull. Just checking behind them for the Junior K2 of Martin Hearns and Morgan Cooper. There they are. Vanessa Weir now, half a mile further on. Position still the same. The leaders there a bit close to those fish tanks. That could have been a costly error. They both seem to be through okay. Malcolm Banks, second in the K1s, just taking his time to get the shoot right at Temple Mills. We're chasing Jimmy Butler in this category. Vanessa Weir again, third place K2 of Smith and Enright. Well done. And swiftly away. Behind them, James Dick and Mark Vilapolsky from South Africa. And then the first Irish crew, Pete Connor and Norman Hannigan. Temple Mills Weir. This is the husband and wife K2. John Kenny, the fireman, pretty happy with life, and his wife Ann Doyle behind. The leading K2s in Selbridge, the South Africans leading the English pair. Third then, Smith and Enright from Bradford on Avon. It's their first outing in the Liffey Descent, but they are showing indications that it's causing rather more fatigue than they can handle. It's a particularly picturesque part of the Liffey, this. Underneath the arches, the town of Selbridge. Fourth place, the South African pair, James Dick and Mark Vilapolsky. This is a stretch where they tend to get spread out a bit, anticipating, possibly with anxiety, Castletown Rapids. Temple Mills Weir again, Mark McCarthy from the Espoir Canoe Club. Careful consideration seeing him through. And then it's the English pair, Danes and Gurr from Barking and Dagenham. Long trip, they've got to keep their heads warm. Though in fact their headgear is rather more usual for K2s. Don't normally see K2 paddlers in helmets. Castletown Rapids now, around half a mile of white water for the leaders to contend with. A bit of a gap developing between them. Conradi and Stephen in front, leading Swallow and Dressler. Irish paddler Malcolm Banks has taken the lead from Jimmy Butler in the senior K1s. The whitewater canoe of Kenny McNair from Paisley in Scotland, second in his category. And behind him, Deglon O'Driscoll from the Liffey Valley Canoe Club. Just being nudged offline there by those junior K2s. Leakslip Lake. A long paddle across the calm waters towards the portage section at the ESB Dam. Back at Selbridge, a triumvirate of K1s. Sean Martin, Richard Lang, and Cora Maloney, who won the junior K1s last year. At Temple Mills, Carmel Beacons, vastly experienced, winner of 17 Liffey Descent medals. This is the whitewater boat of Stuart Smith from Nottingham. K2's approaching the portage, and the third in this little group, Pete Connor and Norman Hannigan. But leading them out, Smith and Enright. And behind them, the South Africans, Dick and Vilapolsky. This is where the paddling stops. They have to haul their canoes some 500 metres to re-enter the river below Leakslip Dam. Temple Mills Weir again, Nigel Ryle from the Glasgow Kayak Club, and Graham O'Regan, the junior K1, from Salmonleaf and Leakslip. Sluice Weir, it's the first weir in the lower section of the river, and there's been a change in the lead. Swallow and Dressler now have the advantage. A cut hand showing down these South Africans. Both these crews opting for the slower line, the chicken run down the right-hand side of the water. Back at the portage, Gary Moyer, second placed in the K1 seniors now. Gary chasing the class leader, Malcolm Banks. Jimmy Butler's challenge would appear to have faded after problems with Vanessa Weir. Fergus Cooper, Selbridge Paddlers. New supply of fluids for him. And down the slippery slope he'll go. Well, not quite the way he intended, I shouldn't think. But he'll get back in the river eventually. Melvin Swallow and Guy Dressler still leading the South Africans at Luke and Weir. But Anthony Stevens did cut his hand on the portage, and that may well be hampering their progress. He's the man in the stern. Opting for the slower channel, closer to the bank. Over a minute behind the leaders, the Irish pair, Pete Connor and Norman Hannigan. They're up at third now, ahead of Smith and Enright. That's a great performance by Conor and Hannigan. 5th place, James Dick and Mark Filipolsky. These have hauled their boats around the dam and now they're back in the river. The whitewater canoe of John Ringwood. Also there, Stuart O'Regan. And ahead of them, the husband and wife team, Ken Boland and Sheila Jordan.
Okay, thank you.
These are the leaders, and Anna Liffey Weir. And this should be a straightforward slide down the fish pass. Just need to avoid getting caught under the trees at the bottom. Here's Malcolm Banks leading the K1 class in his 16th Liffey Descent. He's promised his wife and children that he's going to win this one for them. He's certainly going the right way about it. Just behind Malcolm, the K2 of Alistair Donald and Simon van Rockhausen. Wren's Nest Weir, the notorious Wren's Nest Weir. The senior K2s still are the same 1-2. Swallow and Dressler leading Conradi and Stephen. You just wonder if the South Africans, who wouldn't really be familiar with this course at all, aren't just letting the English pair show them the way. Danger is, though, that a mistake could put them right out of contention. Lucan Weir, it's Gordon Chisholm leading whitewater paddler. Scots dominating this class. Michelle Barry leading the women's K1s, and over she goes. And here's Rory McGann taking the rather more adventurous route. Oh dear, Lucan Weir finding him out, and he could well be stuck in that stopper. Hammerstown Weir for the leaders. This is a big Weir. Still it's Swallow and Dressler in front, and then the South Africans, and they're too far to the left really. They're going to be sucked into that stopper, and this is going to cost them time. Well, they're on their way again, but they have lost valuable seconds. Another K2 at Wren's Nest Weir. And this pair have got themselves a spot of bother stuck in the stopper. Plenty of encouragement from the divers on the bank. And here's an Irish pair, Jerry Hamilton and Brian Casey. Not going quite the distance. Chapel Lizard Weir. Things have changed here since last year. It requires a totally different line because the weir has been broken since then. But look, the South African pair are right back in contention. Well, almost. Wren's Nest Weir again. And there's the veteran Pat Blount paddling his way through in the background. The K2's got itself in terrible trouble. Pat certainly knows his way. Under the bridge at Chapel Lizard, and the South Africans have hit the front. Conradi and Stephen now lead Swallow and Dressler. This is going to be some finish. Just about a mile to go to Island Bridge. And this is Island Bridge, and a quick look from the South African canoe tells them that they have this sewn up. It's Conradi and Stephen leading home Swallow and Dressler. First South African visit to the Liffey Descent ends in a South African victory. And to think that these lads only found out about this event through a chance encounter with some Irish. But no such problems for the veteran Malcolm Banks, third last year, and a convincing winner this in the men's K1 class, and a new record time to boot.
Daniel Conradi and Anthony Stephen, winners of the K2 class from Stellenbosch in South Africa. Congratulations. How did you find out about this race?
We've heard about it in South Africa. Chris Freeth has won it before a couple of years ago, and while we were doing the Stella in Spain, there were some Irish guys there, and they invited us over, and they said they'll give us a place to stay and some good food, so we took them up on the offer, and here we are.
And it was a very, very tight finish, wasn't it?
There was a sprint finish, and the sprint started quite a long way from the finishing pole, but we managed to hold on to our first place.
Malcolm Banks, winner of the K1 class, congratulations. A tough race this year?
Yes, the competition was very good. There was a very good guy out from England, Jimmy Butler, last year's winner, and Gary Marr, who's best me in every race racing this year. So the competition was very good.